CryptoRick from CryptoCurrent. You guys have probably seen my rants on Twitter, stirring up the hornet's nest. So yeah.
So you like to do the opposite of what everybody's saying on XRP as well, then, yeah?
Yeah, I'm a contrarian, but that's the thing. I never started off as a contrarian. My story is that I was actually an XRP maxi. I've had chats with all the, preeminent XRP influencers. And basically, the more I dug into it, the more I realized there was some red flags. And, props to your video about market makers, things like that just pissed me off. And I started to uncover the truth. And yeah.
So pretty similar to yourself, mate, right? I'm an XRP holder. I like XRP.
Mhm.
I like the technology. I believe in everything that it can actually do. I agree that the DLT itself is going to be an amazing technology for the actual crypto space and the crypto assets. Is going to be an amazing money mover. I
Mhm.
just and I FOMO'd into XRP like everybody else, right? It's going to go to 10,000. It's going to go to, and then when I started looking into all of the background for XRP, and then I came on to do the TikTok lives because that's where I needed help because there was more information out there on XRP that I couldn't actually find or get hold of. And there was people in the chat on my lives that was actually sending me more and more information on a day-to-day basis. I was able to then figure out half the stuff that I couldn't figure out myself. Still can't figure out an ODL, buddy. Still, I've got 9 different versions of an ODL.
Well, that's the problem because they're not very transparent about it. And this is what I've been saying to people is you think you know the product, but you actually don't, and some of the things they phrase, it doesn't make sense. Like, oh, we're going to recycle it. And then after a month, and, it's like Occam's razor, like it should be very simple, but it's clear that there's something more to the story. And that's why it's hard to understand because they're making it hard to understand because there's clearly something going on.
Well, in the court files for 29, when they SEC took Ripple to court, they actually started discussing the ODL inside the papers. And then, when it came to redacting the court case, and everybody was talking about the Hinman emails. Oh, he's gone. Let's bring him back.
I'm not sure what happened there.
Hey, good, mate. You
What
good?
happened there?
You good? Um,
Yeah.
when they looked at the redaction of everyone was talking about the Hinman emails being redacted and not being shown, but there was an actual section where Ripple actually didn't want to show what the ODL was, even though Ripple admit that the ODL has changed like 3 times since the actual ODL that they actually had. So even Ripple themselves admit that ODL has changed in its design since the actual court case happened. Are you still with me? Can you hear me? There you go. You're
Yeah,
unmuted.
I can hear you, but it's echoing. Can you hear that echo?
No. I tell you what you need to do is leave the live, right? Close down TikTok and rejoin. This is the unfortunate problem with TikTok. Sometimes it does do this. If you're getting a reverb, then it's down to you need to close TikTok down and rejoin. They don't want their secrets out, is my thinking. No echo isn't here. You're right, Mr. Bob. I'm just saying I'm happy as. Look, guys, like I said at the start of this, right? I am 100% happy with my XRP investment. If it goes to $4 or $5, right, it's still, what is that? 7, 8x my money? If it goes to $10, I'm laughing my head off. If it goes to $15, fuck me, I'm buzzing. If it goes to $20, fuck. Yeah. And if it actually manages to make it anywhere up to $50 to $100, yep. We're buying the islands, boys. Do you know what I'm saying? I just don't believe the Kool-Aid for the 1,000 to 20,000 to 50,000 and everything else. Exactly. And I think what Crypto Rick's trying to say is, like, it's funny, there's an actual woman in this chat right now called Yvette Bermudez, right? And she talks about scams. Her whole, like, TikTok account is about scammers. And when you think about FOMO and you think about how people price predict at such high levels and they get you to jump in, it kind of falls to me on a, this is why I asked in one of my videos, is it illegal? Is it illegal? Is it an actual scam to actually do this? Are you still having that reverb now?
No, it's perfect now.
Yeah, there you go.
So you were saying about ODL.
Yep.
And what were you saying about the SEC redactions?
On the SEC redactions themselves, Ripple have actually requested that they keep the ODL information out. So they actually asked for the ODL. If you go to the documents on courtlistener.com, you can see on the redaction side that there's a lot of information that's been asked by Ripple to redact it out, including their 2017 to 2019 financials. And they also wanted their market maker redacted, but the SEC actually put the market maker's name actually in the response back to the court case, GSR. So,
wow.
Yeah, and then about a week later, after that document was produced and put out there for the public, he actually went, Brad Garlinghouse went on to Davos, and he just basically just came out and said everything that he could about Ripple, what they use with the market makers for, and everything else. But that was a week after the SEC actually gave out the market maker's name. So it's like damage control.
Yeah, it makes sense why they tried to hide the ODL, because in the SEC document, it mentioned that 90% of ODL was just used by MoneyGram alone. And then even then, they were basically just using messaging, and they were just basically shifting money around and pretending to people like they were using it for settlement and all this bullshit. And that's why they tried to redact. And then the market makers, Brad Garlinghouse emailed to the market maker. He said something like, wait till our announcement. And then basically they timed the volume. They've even got their own team called the markets team, where they actually analyze the volume of XRP and the trading. And they basically dump it strategically and then pay the market, as you mentioned in your beautiful video. And I got to say, guys, that was a very, very eye-opening video. Basically, they did it to keep the price stable while they dumped on us. And we're sitting here, like you mentioned, with our you-know-what's in our hands.
Yeah.
Waiting. And meanwhile, we're getting screwed.
Yeah, that's right. So in that document itself, where it's talking about market makers, Brad Garlinghouse, right. So let's just actually put some things right that Ripple do, right? So let's be honest with you. Every single software company fakes it till they make it, right? This is a 100% fact in the software market, right? You have to fake it till you make it, right? So what you'll normally tend to do is sometimes you'll sell your product for free. You will sell your product for free, or you will pay somebody to use your product to get that brand awareness out there. So using MoneyGram was a strategic software engineering and software development ploy, right? That is known around. So to actually get MoneyGram and pay MoneyGram, I kind of expected that, to be honest. How'd you get a big business to actually start using something that's so new, so unheard of, so out there in the world? You'd have to pay somebody to actually then put their name against it. So I was expecting that sort of starting position for a software system, right? So that's what it is at the end of the day. It's a software system, isn't it? And
that's right.
I was expecting, so for MoneyGram itself, I totally understood. But as soon as MoneyGram heard about the court case, they dropped Ripple as quick as possible, didn't they? They literally said, right, that's the end of the partnership. We've got to stay out of this. We can't be part of this. So totally understood the reason for that. When it came down to the market makers, though, like you said there, in the documents, they literally have they have emails proving that the way that they were doing it was every time they actually asked the news and the marketeers to never mention the word XRP. They actually
Yep.
requested them to never mention XRP. So every time the word Ripple or ODL was used, right, you guys and myself would expect a bit of a market pump on that news, right? But what they were doing was they actually sent emails asking the market makers and the marketing team to actually start selling their own XRP on the market at the same time as the Ripple and the ODL news hit. So while you would
Yep.
go in there expecting the price value to come through and go up, and you'd expect more people to start buying XRP based on that news, the Ripple ODL news. In actual fact, what was happening was there was literally selling, and they've got actual price values in there that they couldn't actually make the price go below. They could only sell at a particular price range. So what they'll do is it was 0.08 cents, wasn't it? There was allowed to go. They're allowed to go that above and below, right? So they actually had
Yep.
a price range, and they could do it over. I think it was like 48 to 72 hours. They could actually play with the market manipulation side of things to
Correct.
basically utilize the news to be able to increase the market with XRP while not altering the value of XRP itself. So
Correct. So
that's the
they kept it
document.
within a narrow range, and you're right. All the announcements, right, never mention XRP. So Bank of England, Bank of Montenegro, all these so-called partnerships, right? They never use the word XRP. They will use something amorphous like Ripple DLT, or they'll just use, partnering with Ripple.
Or
They never actually
utilizing the
specify.
ODM or
Correct.
only ODL partner.
Correct. And this is my problem here is Ripple's slogan is crypto means business, crypto in general, right? So it's a crypto payments provider. In other words, businesses approach them, and then Ripple may say, "Oh, we may recommend using Stellar. We may recommend using this or using that." So there's even though they say they're the heartbeat of Ripple, that's a marketing slogan to increase the sales of XRP revenue, which makes up the majority of their revenue. And they strategically never mention that these CBDCs are running on the XRPL. And this further adds to the problem is that the XRPL cannot handle wholesale CBDCs. It doesn't have the main chain doesn't have smart contract ability. It doesn't have the TPS required to scale. People cite that 1,500, but there's a difference between burst TPS and continuous TPS. Sure, a one-off, it could probably reach 1,500, but on a continuous, it actually does something between 100 to 300 TPS. So it's outdated technology, and Ripple know this. And then there's another issue here is that the tokens were redundant. So what happened was when Ryan Fuger created the XRPL ledger, there was actually no tokens. It was just basically like a database, like a blockchain. It was only after Jed took it off his hands that he actually tried to monetize and create and print the tokens for use, and
Yeah.
agreeing that you have to use the token to use the network. So what they did is they all basically gifted themselves 9 billion tokens each, and they all went on a dumping spree. And that's what Taco Stand was. It was dumping on exchanges, which then dumped on us. So no bank would actually buy it. No bank was buying XRP. So we were their exit liquidity. But they knew if they dumped on us, the price would liquidate. So that's why they had to pay market makers to keep the price stable while they dumped on us.
And they also employed, they also said to Jeb that you can only actually sell this at particular amounts, at particular times, every month, slowly. You got to, that was the Taco Stand. I was watching that guy. And again, I was watching that guy. It's like, only, what is it, 2 more weeks till the end of Jeb McCaleb's wallet. Only 1 more week.
Yeah.
Only 2 more
Yeah.
days. And what did
Yeah.
the price action for XRP do? Nothing.
Stable.
Nothing. I was like, oh,
That's what
come on.
That's what gave it away for me. It was like we should have seen a massive, massive, massive spike, but nothing
Yes,
happened.
but nothing happened because everybody knew it was out. That was it. The last drained wallet of 8 billion XRP. Although is 50 billion in escrow, there's 8 billion that was being told publicly that was owned, that was being sold. After that, it should have been like massive amounts of FOMO into this. But literally, I was sitting there waiting on the sell so I could buy back at another. And I was like, it's not doing anything. It's not doing it. Why isn't it doing it? What the fuck is wrong with this?
I was the same. I was pissed off. I'm still pissed off. I'm still raging. That's why I'm raging on Twitter, because I'm still pissed off from this deception. It's like we were taken as fools. We were taken as fools.
Well, the thing is I don't believe we are 100%, right? This is the thing. I don't believe we are. I think we're being taken. I think while they're in the court case right now, right? Think about the actual. Did you do your research into the very fair price buyback? Did you?
Yeah, man. I've got my purple. I've got my purple folder here. You know, we're going to do business. We're getting the deals done with the feds. I'm meeting with the feds next week.
Man's never been on TikTok and he knows about the folders.
They want to buy back. They want to buy back my my Dogecoin for 103,000. But it's a quiet committee. It's a confidential committee. So shh, don't tell anyone. But I'm meeting with the feds next week, and I'm going to tell the feds, hey, you need, this is so precious. You need to buy my token. Okay. We're going to eradicate you. I don't want to even look at you. Don't even sit next to me. I want to be doing deals with the treasury, but you know what? I'm going to be coming here with my orange folder, and I've got my attorney, and we're going to come up with a deal. We're going to get the deals done, and we're going to make this thing happen. And they need my Dogecoin. They need it. And don't try and steal it from me.
Dogecoin. Yeah, fuck that. Don't sell your Dogecoin to anybody, because if you do sell your Dogecoin, you might not be able to get any more Dogecoin back off the markets, because they are buying all the Dogecoin up right now. So if you sell your Dogecoin, it's gone. You'll never be able to buy it back. It's done.
It's done.
You'll never be able
they're going to wipe it out.
They're going to 100%. They are taking it off. So do not sell your Doge at all. That has been a rhetoric, though, hasn't it? That has actually been a mantra. That has actually been a mantra for this token as well. Be careful, guys, because if you sell your tokens now, you might not be able to buy them back.
So let's explain the logic. So they've had XRP on multiple exchanges for the last 6 years, freely available for everyone to buy, and they're saying they don't want us to have it. It's very clear that they do want us to have it because they need our money.
Right.
That's how they make their revenue.
So how do you actually create liquidity into a token that equals nothing without needing retail to buy that token? How do you create the liquidity? So the tokens themselves were put on the market to create the liquidity, for get to them the value in which they were able to then make money for themselves, to start generating for their own company, to be able to then develop the actual webinar itself.
That's why I said that, like you said, they need us. They don't. It's not that they don't need us. They need us. They need our money. That money goes into funding Ripple operations. Who do you think funds RippleNet? It's
exactly.
XRP sales. That's why they have it on every exchange, freely available for the last 6 years. If the banks really needed it, they would have bought it up in an instant. Before you could even say a shoot. Not day one, day -1, they would have gone privately to Ripple and said, hey, we heard you've got an important token. We want to buy it all up. You wouldn't have even had a whiff of the XRP token if it was
Colorado. Rick, I don't know. Actually, Rick, are you an XRP holder? Because I am. Are you an XRP holder, or have you given up on XRP?
I only hold a teeny amount, and I'm waiting for the right price, and then I'm going to basically sell the whole thing.
So in actual fact, what you've got here is you've got two guys with XRP who have actually done the research into XRP, that aren't believing the Kool-Aid that everybody's drinking. And like I said, Rick, this is CryptoRick off of Twitter, by the way, guys. Please, do you want to just give him your username and handle on Twitter for me for a sec?
Yeah, so Twitter is CryptoCurrent77. YouTube is CryptoCurrent brackets CryptoRick, and yeah,
Do you see in
that's
the chat?
basically.
Do you see in the chat? We've got Zach Rector in the chat.
Hey Zach, how are you? I've got my purple folder ready to do the deals. If you want to come join us.
So, so we're not actually. I don't actually hate XRP. I actually enjoy the capabilities of this token. It's been a shit token to actually invest in because it literally
Yeah.
goes sideways. And every time we promise of that big leap and the Takistan wallet, the whole, we expect that. I'm really hoping that they don't try and dump more XRP when the court case ends, and it's going to be exactly like the Takistan wallet.
Well, this is why I've been aggressive on Twitter, because people think I'm trying to FUD people out. It's the contrary. I'm trying to warn you before it's too late. Because once that decision gets handed out, if XRP is deemed as security and they settle, and that price liquidates, that's your last chance. You basically, now is your time to diversify before you get wrecked, basically.
So, CryptoRick being silly on Twitter. See. Let's just ignore the comments for a second. So, Rick, you actually wanted to talk to me today about the buyback. Shall we get straight to it, buddy? Shall we get straight to it? So, what do you want to talk about?
People try and blame the buyback committee, right? You know what? I don't even blame those guys. I blame the people who set the propositions for the buyback. And I think it's a lot of it comes down to people like Quincy Jones, who said that you can put all the debt on the ledger, everything debt, 10-1, and put it on the ledger, and you can do this and do that. Dude, you can't put quadrillions of transactions and money, or 100,000 transactions and money on something that can't scale past the 1,500 TPS. So he put in these people's minds that you could put all the debt that you want, all the derivatives, all the whatever, on one ledger, and all the money is going to flow through it. And then on top of that,
he also said in that video, didn't he, that the Federal Reserve had the option to actually buy back the Quincy actually said in one of his videos that with the escrow accounts, the Federal Reserve could buy it back. And take over.
Quincy, people think, oh, XDC engineer. Oh my God. Well, let's worship you, oh master. You must know everything. And he screwed people because he put in these fake ideas that aren't true. And they don't understand he's under contracts to basically say this BS. And I know Zach is saying he's a legend. Quincy's a legend. He's not a legend, and you're going to see very soon. But basically, right, they put all this supposition, and then the other thing is you've got people like these documents saying it's going to be tied to gold, and palladium is algo, and iota is. And then you're like, okay, let's look at the facts here. Let's look at the facts. If it was really gold backed, why aren't any exchanges holding it? Why does KuCoin hold more KCS token, the KuCoin token, than XRP, which is gold backed? Let's think about it. If I'm an exchange and I want to have proof of reserves, I would have 99% XRP if it was gold backed, because I'm basically backing myself with gold. But we don't see that. Neither KuCoin nor Binance nor Crypto.com
None of the reserves.
They don't have any reserves of XRP. Very minimal, right?
No. But they actually hold XRP, but they don't actually attribute it to their actual reserves. They don't. The information that they allow everybody to see on the exchange reserves. XRP has never been listed as an actual reserve currency in which they actually store against. So,
look, people think we're smarter than exchanges. We're not smarter. They've got the insider knowledge. They know what's going on, right? They know it's a shit token, and I'm sorry to say that, but it's a shit token.
Me and you disagree on that, but I think the market.
We'll get to that later. We'll get to that later.
I think,
but let's talk about the gold stuff. Right. The other reason why it's not gold backed, Jed McCaleb is proof of that. Right. If I'm holding 9 billion XRP tokens, and I know in another year, if I just hold it, it's going to be worth trillions of dollars. Why would I sell it for only 150 million when I can literally hold it for another 2 years and make $100 trillion?
So me and Zach actually on one of the first ever lives where Zach joined my live from his live, I actually because I'd literally done the option 1 to option 3, and I actually got myself and me, Zach, if you remember, you can probably go through your YouTube videos. I actually got you to agree on that live that XRP would never be backed by gold, because we both agreed to actually back it by the commodities side of things was never going to happen. So we both agreed.
Zach's saying he was never suggesting it was going to be gold back.
Yeah, he never was, and we both agreed that that kind of limitation was actually far-fetched and doesn't actually work. So I've got to say that was one thing that made me and Zach both agreed that is just something that's going out in the community that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So this is Zach's point: is okay, it's very precious, and that's why Ripple is buying it back. But look how much they're selling, and if you look at how much they're selling, the amount they sell exceeds the amount they rebuy back. So it's not accurate to say they're buying it back, because they're actually selling it more than they're buying it back, and so they're doing this cycle where they buy back, sell, buy back, sell, buy back, sell, because they're actually making profits each time they're doing that. That's how they make their money, is XRP sales. Doesn't mean it's valuable if Ripple buys it back. Because
Rick, I've just had a live with Zach himself where I tried to explain to him how it's a zero cost balance sheet attack with so you basically take from the escrow account 300 million XRP, you then sell them to ODL customers. But let's just call them $1 each. So you make 300 million, and then you go to the exchanges and buy $250 million worth of XRP from the exchanges. Bear with me.
Yep.
And then they hold $250 million worth of XRP, and then also $50 million worth of cash. And they've literally just gone round full circle, where they could have just literally gone 300 million from the escrow account straight into their back pockets and just be done with it, and sold 50 million onto the. But instead, they've gone a roundabout way. They don't even call it to the ODL either. They call it to the ODL customers. So there's actually, do you see what I'm saying here? So it's to the ODL customers, and it goes round and then comes back, and then they sell it and they keep. So it looks like they've spent $8 billion on buying back. And this is the latest narrative at the moment. Ripple has spent $8 billion on buying back XRP off the exchanges, and yet they made $9 billion worth of sales of XRP. So they sold XRP $9 billion, they bought back $8 billion, so they hold $8 billion worth of XRP, and they've got $1 billion of cash. That's really what that report says, right?
Of course, and everyone knows this. That the problem is people are too stupid to realize that XRP revenue sales makes up a large amount of their income, and that's why all these BS partnerships, right? They pay them to be their partners. They don't. No one is going and saying, "We need your services." You know, the currency is about we need. No, that Ripple are paying them to advertise and say, "Yes, we're a partner of Ripple," and they strategically time it. And Dr. Craig Wright told me, he goes, Kitao San had a meeting with him in private. And he goes, the only reason we hold XRP is to dump on retail. They were given it at a cheap price. Okay. And they only hold it to basically dump. And there's no other reason to hold XRP because nobody's using it. Even Richard Hart said no bank's using it. Everyone in the know knows that XRP is not being used except us, the stupid idiot retail. Exchanges know.
So all the billionaires. You said Craig Wright and Tal? Who was that name there?
Yeah. He's the SBI Holdings CEO. He basically said, Ripple, we bought it off Ripple very cheap, like 0.00 whatever, 8. They then sold it at 33 cents. That's their profit. That's the only reason why and then basically in return for buying the XRP, they list them as partners. It's all one big arrangement.
They also did that with the R3 Corridor as well, right? They gave them
same thing with the R3.
They sold it to them for cheap at 0.003. Was it 0.003? Again, that's in the SEC lawsuit. Unfortunately, they weren't able to actually give the name out. and there's an actual addendum at the bottom that said that that they were given the tokens, but weren't actually told to actually release them on particular timelines and deadlines. And the XRP person that worked there at Ripple at the time, they said, should we tell the public or should we let this out? And it was like, no, we best not let this publicly known. That was in an email that was sent, right?
Yeah.
So again,
They're not allowed to tell.
on there.
They're not allowed to tell people they're not using XRP. And Zach is saying, oh, but SBI Holdings say they're going to use XRP. Of course they have to say that, because that was part of the arrangement. You can't go around saying, oh, no, we're not going to be using XRP. They have to tell you that. We have to delineate between what they're paid to say and what's really going on. This is the point of this discussion, is they can say whatever they want. They can say we're going to use XRP. Doesn't mean it's being used.
At the end of the day, right, I said to you at the start of this, every software company fakes it till they make it, right? And every company will actually go out there and they'll pay people to actually use their systems. Most companies in crypto right now, what they'll do is they'll give developers, they'll give people a percentage, they'll give people a certain amount of tokens. We already know that, right? That is the standard approach for cryptocurrencies. They give developers an amount. We see it in the tokenomics of white papers. We see the distribution of tokens because of the tokenomics. So what we expect of Ripple, to be honest with you, again, most of the things that we're seeing now are kind of expected. I don't see a problem with half the things that they're saying. So the thing is I see the marketing. All I see here is an amazing marketing team. I see an amazing marketing team, right? And that is what we've got to put it down to, an amazing marketing team. But again, I'm like I say, Rick, I'm going to play a bit devil's advocate with what you're saying, and hopefully you'll do this at the same time with me, right? But the thing is that the actual technology may be old, and it's got 1,500 transactions per second. It can be actually scaled up to around about 50,000. That's its latest abilities that it's been given, up to 50,000. And we had Crypto Hawk here on TikTok say that in 2019, China had a DLT that could actually do that is, his words actually was a bit misleading. He said that they were processing 250 million transactions per second, but in actual fact, on the actual document in front of him, it said capable of doing 250 million transactions per second. Do you see how things are easily spun?
Okay, but based on that philosophy, you could just get Ethereum and then scale it up as well. Why bother using XRP? If we're going to add layer 2s and interledger protocol into the equation, that just makes XRP more redundant, because what you're saying is it's crap now, but don't worry, in the future, we've got something else waiting. Well, based on that, you could use any blockchain. You could use any layer 1. I could basically take Stellar and then add a layer 2 and interledger protocol, and now Stellar is great. But the argument is, what makes XRP now, not tomorrow, not in the future, not in 10 years, what makes it wanting now? The answer is basically.
The thing is, right, is we know that the banks are saying already that they're actually going to be using ODL. I mean, the thing is we've got Travelex in Brazil that have actually said that they're actually using it. Although I'm looking at the Fiat leak, and I still don't see much XRP being utilized to Brazil yet. I'm monitoring fiatleak.com, and when I look at XRP, it's all mainly in the Asian markets, and yet Brazil openly said that they was going to be using it on the Travelex bank. So I was expecting a lot more transactions to be coming through from Brazil to other countries, right?
Again, they will say whatever they want to say. But the fact is, the technology has been ready for 8 years now. They can easily use it if they wanted to. They don't want to use it. They don't want to use it. And this is what we have to come to mind, is there's always a justification. Oh, but tomorrow the ODL volume. Oh, but after. Oh, but this. It never ends, Darkhorse. The excuses never end. It's always tomorrow, next month, next year, after regulation, Look at a zero. No regulation. It's already pumped to almost $1.50. From 85 cents to $1.50. It did a 2x.
Yeah. You've got a lot of alternate options out there for you to invest your money in. The thing that I don't get is nobody actually talks about the leasing of XRP that's available on the Q4 report either. I mean, just to let people know here, it says on the Q4 report, and it's on the Q3 and the Q2 and the Q1, Certain wallets used for XRP sales also provide short-term leases for market makers and participants. Now, it's worth noting, given that they are incorrectly interpreted by market participants as sales, XRP associated with leases are ultimately returned to Ripple. The total amount of leases outstanding in Q4 2002 was 57.7 million XRP. Now, to me, that's the ODL. That's the ODL. That to me, that section there is the ODL. And in doing so, that tells me that there's 57.7 million XRP being transferred backwards and forwards on the XRPL as the ODL, which then comes back to my whole bandwidth. And there is one XRPL and there is one ODL, and then it comes down to all the confusion. So to me, I mean, there's a whole graph on here as well that actually shows it.
Do you know why they're leasing the tokens and why no bank is actually holding it on their balance sheets? And Zach Rector's watching because Filthy Quant was right. And this is the thing here. Filthy Quant said, and he worked for a central bank, mind you. So
I think I've seen this video, but go for it, Rick. Explain it.
He said banks can't hold XRP due to counterparty risk and volatility because the counterparty here is Ripple. So even though it's considered a cryptocurrency, it's still issued by Ripple. So the counterparty is Ripple, right? So this is why banks asked Brad Garlinghouse, hey, can we lease the XRP? We don't want to hold it ourselves because of the counterparty risk and the volatility risk. But if you hold it and we use it, then we can maybe pay you a fee for that. But even then, that XRP gets recycled 17,000 times in one day. So one XRP can be recycled many times. So you could use a $2 XRP and settle $800 trillion a day based on some calculations using ODL or using these services. And Ripple makes its money from the fees, not necessarily from the XRP price appreciation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with you. It's all just fugazi, man, to be honest.
See, and when you actually look at the XRPL on-chain activity, this is also what is getting told out there. And it again, Q4 2021 had 130 million drop transactions on it, right? And its burn rate was 365,000 XRP. Q3 2022 had 146,000 burn rate of XRP. So that's a loss. That's a loss. That's literally halved. And then when it goes to Q4 2022, we've had 101,000 XRP burn. So when you're looking at Q3 to Q4, we've had a drop of 46,000 XRP not burnt. So we're actually going down in transactions because the way that the XRPL works is every single transaction, we get a burn rate of, I did this, it's an average of 10 drops, sometimes 15, sometimes 20, but it depends on how many transactions they're doing, a block, blah, blah, blah. So when you're actually burning off the XRP, so the more transactions that go through the XRPL, you'd expect a higher burn rate. So when you're actually looking at the transactions that are going through and the XRP being burned, the actual thing, this report, but the way that they've done the report is they put Q4 2021 at this end, and they put the Q4 2022 at this end. So you actually think that that's the end is the current month, and this one's the initial month. So it's actually a reverse table. So it's quite misleading because you have to really go back to the column headings to actually understand that it's a flipped table. And then when you scroll down, they haven't done it that way. They put the Q4 2022 on this side, and they put the Q3 2022 on this side. So it's they clearly show
everything. They're doing everything in their power to hide and conceal. Like as an example, the AMM. They say, "Oh, we're going to install it next year, next month." They've had 8 years.
The automatic market maker coming out. That, to be honest with you, what David Schwartz said is an absolute legend piece of tech, and they actually need it to be on the decks to actually make it work. Again, the AMM, that if you actually look at what David Schwartz is saying about the AMM, the interoperability and the ability to actually flip around the way that they actually do their, what's it called, the arbitraging. So normally when an AMM goes out to actually purchase some tokens that it doesn't have to be able to settle a fee, what it does is it normally has to pay a fee to the person that it's arbitraging with, but instead they've flipped it around. they've actually got them to pay a small fee, which then pays back too. Now, if this is correct, I mean, I don't really know, but the way that they've actually flipped it around is that they pay a fee and they actually battle with each other to actually provide those tokens to you, which is why they're able to pay a fee for the yielding of the tokens that are held inside the AMM. So it's about time they actually had the AMM actually on the XRPL. But again, it doesn't matter if you're putting in there, because if they've got nobody utilizing it, there won't be any yield payments out to people that have actually put in. Again, this is kind of what Gary Genzer is talking about, where we don't actually fully understand the mechanism for yields, and therefore we don't actually know the outputs, and we don't really know the trust behind it, right?
Sure, but explain that to other projects who already have a functioning AMM, liquidity pools, etc. They did it in 2 years. I mean, you know what it seems to me, Darkhorse, that then they don't want to build it on there because they know it's abandoned. And this is a controversial thing, but think about it. I am not going to put a mansion on a graveyard, right?
What's up, boys?
Hello,
I was not expecting
boy.
this, man. I was not expecting this one. Mate, have you got Super Saiyan on us?
It was time for a switch up in the attire.
You have literally gone Super Saiyan on us, buddy. That is definitely blonde as fuck, mate. What are you, saying 1 or saying 2? Or are we going? No, you've still got your eyebrows. You ain't saying 3 yet.
No. I think we gotta keep below the eyebrows and below the same color. You know, I got hella bleach burns on the side of my scalp because my guy was like, "Let me know if there's any discomfort." I'm like, "I'm a trooper. I'm gonna take it." And I took it, and I didn't think it was gonna be a problem. But I woke up and there was like blood, and I was like, "Fuck!" But we're chilling.
Mate, we are. This is CryptoRick. It's from Twitter, and basically it contacted me about the buyback theory on XRP, and I know you don't like XRP at all, do you? You and Joshua
that too.
Yes, he is. And I know that you don't like XRP, and we're just basically having a conversation about the buyback theory. What's your thoughts on the buyback theory?
Listen, guys, it doesn't make sense. Why would they buy it back if number one, it's
Oh, he froze right there. Is he frozen for anybody else?
Pennies on the dollar on the open market, right? Can you hear me? My internet's terrible. I think it's complete nonsense. I mean, I heard they were sponsoring some bill. I've tuned out of the XRP stuff because honestly, it's other than a joke. I don't take it seriously anymore. I mean, it's here. It's doing something that it's got its role to play, but it's old, and I think it's just kind of behind the times, man. Like it had its chance. I accept that it's here. It's doing some good things, but I don't think it's ever going to break all-time highs again.
Yeah.
You don't think it'll go to an all-time high again at all?
No, not unless the Ripple SEC lawsuit ends and Bitcoin is literally like above 50K and we're in a full-blown bull market. Like I don't see it happening.
So again, that kind of comes down to the bull market requirements, right, where everything pumps, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously we can make the argument that XRP was suppressed because of the delisting and the lawsuit, and there is an element of that. But it's also like it's not that exciting. It doesn't have that much going on compared to a lot of the other DeFi projects that are out there right now. Like no one is trying to legitimately build a project on XRP on the XRPL. They've been pushing these Ripple NFTs. I don't know anybody who wants a Ripple NFT, bro.
Okay, but I think the reason why they pushed the NFTs is because they were trying to open up ready for the digitized assets and the tokenized assets, right? So the only way you can actually bring the tokenized assets through would have the NFT platform ready and available for it, right? I think NFTs are the starting position for tokenized assets, right?
Sure, but why wouldn't I want to build on a different network that's actually like more decentralized, where the tokens are not all held by the company that started the network? You know what I'm saying? Like, and also, if we're talking about pure usability, ICP's reverse gas model is so far ahead of anything that RippleNet could ever want to achieve. Like, if we're talking pure tech, I'm building on Radix, I'm building on ICP. Hell, I'm even building on Matic and calling it a layer 2. Like fuck.
Is there any actually, as a builder onto the actual chains themselves? Lucas, is there actually anything that's stopping you from actually building on the XRPL? Or is it just a choice, or is it is it a preference, or is it because there are limits to entry?
A little of both. I mean, I think that there's definitely a market there, but the market, it's very much like the Cardano people that build and launch on Cardano because they believe in Cardano. Like Cardano exists theoretically to me. It doesn't really exist to me until it's ready to actually go. If I'm going to build something today, I basically have three choices. If I was going to build, I'd build on Ethereum, I'd build on Matic, which is basically building on Ethereum, or I'd build on ICP, and Radix is almost there. Those are my three that I really consider, and a fourth that's on the way. Because I just want the best experience for not only myself as a builder, but for the end user as well. I want it to be easy and seamless, and XRP just isn't there.
So Zach's saying here, Lucas go way back. He knows what the deal is.
Yeah, me and Zach go way back. We've had our moments together. I hope you're doing well, bro. Haven't seen you in a minute. I've been really grinding out the YouTube, building building other things too. My Pokemon card business is doing pretty well at the moment. Kind of a hedge against the crypto markets as well, which is pretty cool.
So while we're in a bear market, Pokemon cards. When we go back to bull market, we're back to crypto.
Yeah, well, I've never left crypto. Our YouTube is doing really well in terms of, being able to get people on. We've actually got some traction now. Our podcast is getting some views. We have more views on TikTok of our podcast that have gone viral than we have of our real actual show. But I'm really proud of the content we're making over there. And I'm super excited to keep doing that and to bring it to new levels. And we're actually planning hopefully a European tour here in a couple months. So I really hope I get to come see some people over here in London, meet some family in Greece, and then maybe a few other places.
Still making memes.
Zach, yeah. Boy.
Sorry, go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say if XRP was a Pokemon, it would be Magikarp. No effect.
Oh! Wow! He just roasted you guys. Oh my god!
Splash.
Oh my god.
XRP use Splash. Nothing happens.
Hey, but you know what? It does eventually turn into a Gyarados, which is one of the strongest.
But it never will. They keep promising the Gyarados, and the Gyarados never comes.
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
I'm sorry?
I'm playing devil's advocate here with the Gyarados reference.
No, you're good, because that was close to where I was going anyway. The thing is that I can see XRP being used, right? I can see XRP being used. I just can't see it going to the prices in which everybody keeps claiming. This is my problem. I understand the benefits. I understand the technology. I just hate the buyback. Everybody that follows me knows that I hate the buyback. Why does it look like just
right? Like the whole reason that XRP is so popular is because of this. It's almost like a mystical narrative, right? And it's exciting and people want to believe it. But my issue is that, number one, these people are not based in reality, right? If we're talking strictly reality, there's not enough money on earth to get it to the prices that they want. We would literally have to print trillions of dollars and throw it all in. But it's part of this narrative, right? And it's part of this like conspiracy. And these people are either so far in that they can't admit they're wrong, or they're entrapped by this vision and this dream, and they're buying into it, and it's like so sad. Because it's like you could be making money in so many other projects. I literally had someone, and I can pull this screenshot up. I had someone DM me on Twitter yesterday, and he said, my best performing asset and my worst performing asset. And it was XRP as the worst performer, and his best performer was Internet Computer in the last 3 months. I'm like, it speaks for itself. You're missing opportunity by sticking your money in essentially something that doesn't really do much up or down.
Lucas, I sense a trend in your conversation. ICP. It seems to be a trend, buddy. It seems to be a trend.
Oh, yeah, dude. I'm so fucking excited about their ecosystem, the projects building on there. I mean, I I did a Twitter space for the official Definity account, and it was really, really cool. I've been really, really getting into that ecosystem, the Radix ecosystem, kind of as a personal goal. I'm not sponsored. I have no business relationship with any of these projects. I really just love the tech, and I love the people building the tech. So that's really been my focus, and it kind of reflects in a lot of the comparisons I'm making because it's just so good. It's just like it's what blockchain was meant to be, I think.
Well, Lucas, I hope you don't mind, buddy. I want to crack on with CryptoRick's
No
conversation
worries.
about the.
I just wanted to say hi.
No, and I wanted to see your hair, buddy, because I saw you on
Ah,
Twitter. I did want to see this.
well, I'm glad I could give you guys the rundown here.
Say it easy, Lucas.
How the fuck do I get out of here?
I can kick you, buddy. I can kick you.
Oh, I found it.
That guy knows his stuff, I gotta say. And
He does.
yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
Looks like Zach has now gone to create a Twitter space, and if anybody wants to go to Twitter, and by all means, there's a Twitter space now with Zach in it. So I'm going to continue with this live because this was impromptu. We wasn't expecting to actually have this today. So just thought I thought, there you go, Zach. I have no problems with you shilling your shit in my life. Don't worry about it. We will continue to have this conversation. So back to the buyback theory. What made what put you off it?
Everything. So firstly, the fact that, there was a lot of influencers, being recruited, and they weren't really given a say in the actual technicalities. They were not being compensated. They were basically asked to do this thing, and they will argue that, no one coerced us. We were passionate about it, but when you look at it, all of this benefits the firm, because the firm basically pays its employees in XRP, so they need the price of XRP to pump. They need the value to be high. And this is my personal theory, all right, just my personal gut feeling. I think what happened is that firm bought a ton load of XRP, and they used it to pay their employees. But now that it's basically dropped, they're panicking. And so they're coming up with elaborate ways to basically pump it before they dump it, basically. Either that, or they're just based on suppositions and things about all the money going on it. Like, they don't understand the TPS, they don't understand scalability issues. I don't know who influenced them in that way, but everything was just sus. And then you've got these weird models, and then weird assumptions about fraud in the inducement, and it's like, what the hell is going on here? Like, it's just a shit show.
Okay.
And
yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then they're like, "Oh, we're going to do deals with the Fed." Like, the Fed doesn't give a shit. Like, the Fed rejected their proposal, basically ignored it the first time, and then it's like, this doesn't sound like someone who's desperate to basically want your XRP. Like, if I was desperate, I'd be like, "Oh my God, thank you for this email. Yeah, I'll get back to you. Yeah, we're going to have a discussion about this." Yeah, that is someone who's actually like interested, like semi-interested. But to have someone ignore you first off the bat, and they know what they're doing, that should have been an indication to you that the XRP token, they don't care about.
So I'm going to give you my reason. Right, in 2021, they originally tried to do the 35,000 buyback. Valhill Capital came to my attention in 2021, right? They tried to do the 35,000 buyback, tried to do it on their own. They created a load of tweets, and they created a load of like YouTube videos going around speaking to people back then, but they didn't really get much traction. Their term sheet and their whole letter and everything else kind of fell flat. Then all of a sudden in 2022, just before Christmas, all of a sudden we had all these influencers that just popped up out of nowhere, and this secret committee. And one, I didn't like the fact that the main title was 50,000 to 85,000 just before Christmas, because that was like freaking FOMOing people in for the sake of it, right? That was disgusting. And then you got to think that I've done the price prediction models. My price prediction models came up to around about $100 at maximum if you're talking 2030, right? And when you're talking 50,000 and everything else, this was a joke. I mean, most of the influencers that they brought on board, they were talking about 10,000 XRP before. They were talking about 589 XRP before. And then all of a sudden, I was told to go and look at some videos, and there's even chasing coding in 589 on particular people's Twitter accounts because they're following 589. And that's my boy Crypto 50 Cal. And there's a whole thing around about that. And then because it just didn't smell right. One, it was just before Christmas. Two, it was like as if they were trying to pump XRP before Christmas just to be able to get some equity out before Christmas. And to me, it was like we don't really know what the market makers are doing, and we don't really understand it. So I actually did a deep dive into Valhill, and I looked at themselves, I looked at the companies, and I had Crypto Ralphie, I had Crypto Never Sleeps, I had quite a few other people. I apologize for anybody that I can't remember who was on here, but we had quite a lot of people actually helping us, trying to find out who the hell Valhill Capital was, because who the hell are they to speak for us, and why is some of our top influencers in XRP some of the guys that we trust and we kind of look up to listen to actually their information, we're actually then joining forces with these guys. I mean, who are these guys? They haven't introduced these guys. They've introduced what they're offering. They haven't introduced these guys as to say, these guys are signs, these guys do this, they do this, they do this. Instead, it was like, we support Valhill Capital with their buyback theory and their proposal. And like I say, I knew that buyback from 2021. It lay flat. Now, all of a sudden, it was 50,000, 85,000. And then I started getting models from the actual secret committee. And I started seeing the models themselves, and then I was seeing the price predictions being put up. And I saw the 121,000 models, saw how they got the numbers. I can actually show you one of them, to be fair. I got the models, and it was like they're making these figures up. They are literally grabbing these figures off the internet and then going around. And then when Crypto Eddie, I mean, me and Zach will tell you if he hasn't gone to his Twitter space already. Me and Zach had the kind of like backwards and forwards all the time with this 50K buyback thing. And it was just like the maths don't work. The maths don't maths. And then when I saw the models, it was like you can kind of like see where they're getting their 121,000 figures from, but you can also see where they've really messed up. And now all I see on Twitter now is that freaking buyback and price prediction models, and people like going nuts about the latest one. It's just,
to be honest, the maths is very, very basic. Like all they did was say, okay, this is the estimated debt in the market, 2 quadrillion, divided by 100 billion tokens, but not all the 100 billion tokens is circulating. And then they basically came to a figure of 100,000. But there's a lot of assumptions here. Firstly, they assumed XRP can't be recycled 17,000 times a day. And this is what you're mentioning about burns and drops and blah, blah, blah. Secondly, they assume that it will all go on one DLT, which is bullcrap. Third thing they assumed is that it's analogous to taking gold and all this stuff, and evaluating it just in case the government was to like. You don't go and leak something into the market to then buy back. Like they're smarter than that. If they didn't want you to have it, they wouldn't have let you have it in the first place. It's that simple, They would have put barriers in, just like they do with pre-IPOs. They make you become an accredited investor. They put these barriers in so that retail never get a whiff. So yeah, it's silly. The whole thing was just silly, to be honest. And I don't blame the influencers who joined them. I'm blaming basically the presuppositions that they're using.
Do you know what I found? Do you know what I found very interesting was the minute Crypto Eddie dropped the term sheet, the amount of influencers that turned their back straight away. It was like straight away, I'm out. Everyone keeps on saying down here in chat, like, Rick, what's your favorite token? And they're also saying Hex and things like this, right? I don't care. I don't care what his favorite token is. I don't care. This is just a conversation about the buyback, XRP history, and everything else. What he actually has in his wallet is up to him, and if he wants to share that, that's his choice. But this has no relevance to the actual information that we're providing here as a conversation, as a conversational piece. But I know that you've got millions of these XRP tokens, buddy, and me and you are on the same level in terms of price valuations as well. So that's another guy that doesn't drink the Kool-Aid either.
Yeah, I spat out the Kool-Aid. I spat out it. Look, you're a bit more optimistic than I am for the XRP ledger. I think you probably envisaged them using it a bit of for ODL and a bit of derivatives. Is that correct?
No, no, right. So I have this argument with Zach. Well, not argument. I have a debate with Zach all the time, right? And that is all the money. It doesn't matter if all the money went through a DLT. It really doesn't matter because it's it's like a taxi service. It takes from one side of the ledger to the other and outputs. It doesn't actually the value of it doesn't stay in. So it doesn't matter if the derivatives market goes in. It doesn't matter if tokenized assets go in. It doesn't matter if all the money actually, all the CBDCs start going through it. It really doesn't matter because the ODL can handle. And if there are all these private side chains for the XRPL to actually run the private networks and everything else, we are never going to see anything of the actual XRP increase value because, like I said, I did the bandwidth calc, and if you actually look at the fact that, judging by the calculation that we did in Zach's live himself, they've got 18 billion XRP off of the values that of what we were saying earlier. So you just divide that by well, you don't even need to divide that by. There's 18 billion XRP. So that's equivalent to a shitload of money. And then you can run that through the DLT, the ODL, if they are actually using one. But again, if you go to the Q4 report, that leasing of XRP to me is the ODL. That's the leasing. So I lease the XRP and then I come back. But the transactions themselves, right? You know, when everybody sees the glitches, I think it's when the leasing of XRP actually goes through incorrectly inside of the systems, and therefore you see the market maker doing the transactions with the leasing backwards and forwards, and for some reason it's going through to certain exchanges by accident. So you're actually seeing all these transactions going through, but because it's not creating no volume in terms of buying, selling at different values, then it kind of like gives an astronomical price on everybody's screens.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the things that we see glitches in are the things that we're seeing manipulation in. And like you mentioned, the private side chains, right? This is for me what got me down the rabbit hole. Is I was very optimistic about XRP. I was pro XRP. You know, I was that idiot that, you know, XRP is going to do this, that. Then I discovered the private side chains and I started reading about them. And then I found out, number one, they don't need to use the XRP token. But more shocking than that is they don't need to even use the XRPL network. And they have their own consensus. No one can scrutinize them. And basically, they don't need to let anything through to the public. So the token we hold is the public network. But they could be doing stuff privately. They could be moving a shit ton of value privately.
Yeah.
But not going through the XRP network, the public network. And therefore, the value is lost. The value that would have normally been ascribed to XRP is actually lost because it's not going through the public main chain. And this is what people don't understand is they basically hoodwinked us. They did a dodgy. They're moving value behind our backs using other tokens, other blockchains, other side chains, and we're stuck here holding the dud. And for me, I think it could possibly speculatively increase to about $7 to $10, but I think, yeah. What are your reasons for it going to $100? Do you think it will be used in what do you think it will be used for?
Okay, so the way I see it is it's going to be down to the fact that they're taking it off of the actual exchanges itself. So it's going to become a rare and scarce commodity because they're going to hold quite a lot of it in their wallets. As they keep on doing, they keep on taking off the exchanges, giving to the ODL customers. Those ODL customers, we don't know who they are or what they're doing with those XRP, but they are actually storing it themselves. So in the long run, if you think about how this is working, they could take 300 out, they give it to an ODL customer, and then they buy back 300 million off, and then the customers put 300 million back, right? So if the customers resell it back to the exchanges, then the 300 million go back to the exchanges. But the Ripple's basically got 300 million sitting in the XRP. So if you take this current progression path, at some point the escrow is going to be out in 20 years, right? Or if they speed up if they speed it up, so then it's going to slowly drain the amount of actually XRP that's actually out there in the wild. So again, you've got the time thing, you've got the rarity and the scarcity. You've also got everybody's own personal value of XRP and how much it's worth. You've also got the greater fool theory. You've also got the bull cycles, because everything's supposed to go. I mean, we saw what happened in the bull cycle in 2021. We've also got that, and as soon as the court case is over, you're going to have all of the investors back in there that originally believed in the ODL and everything else as well. So I'm taking it back to 2019 with inflation and everything else, and then adding time and effort and everything else into it. So I'm not seeing transaction volumes being the, because that's what Zach and everybody believe, right? It's the amount of money that's going to be going through the ODL and the XRPL that's going to make the value increase. But if we already see the fact that they've got a lease market maker already on there to do the transactions through, and it's not actually touching the current transactions in the exchanges, then the amount of transactions that XRPL does won't actually affect the exchange value price.
Correct. But yeah, so then how do you know the market makers won't just continue this forever?
Right. So there is the other thought process, mate, that there's market makers on everything. There is market makers for every single bank. There is market makers on every single stock exchange. There are market makers out there in the world. So there are certain abilities that market makers can have and should have. And if the rules and regulations come into play, and if the SEC are watching them with a fine-tooth comb if they win the court case, if they're watching them with a fine-tooth comb, I don't think they'll be initiating too much of a market maker manipulation. And I think that with the SEC, Gary Gensler actually going out there attacking the hell out of everything at the moment, I think that will be the next thing that it'll be. Well, apart from NFTs, it'll be going for NFTs, and then it'll be going for it's going for DeFi, it's going for NFTs, and then they'll probably go for the market manipulation by whales and things like that. I mean, that's a standardized approach for most stock markets, right? You can't have market manipulation on price values. That's what the SEC's actual real job is on the stock market. And yet we see it on a clear day-to-day basis with market manipulations by exchanges, and we see it by whales. So the SEC are first off starting from the ground, they're clearing up the crypto asset service providers, the DeFis, the CeFis, the exchanges. They're going to clean up all of these first, and then they're going to be focusing on the price action of these tokens once they've get done with it. So then we're going to have a cleanup of that side of things.
Yeah, I hope the market makers, the manipulation stops. But for me in ODL, I just think they've got other proprietary software that they're not telling us about that basically can do the function of ODL without using the token itself. That's just my gut feeling. I can't prove it, but I think they want to eradicate tokens where possible, because when you add tokens, you add counterparty risk and you add volatility, basically. Yeah. So I think the rails are there. They're using the rails. Doesn't mean they're using the train, right? So this is why I have much of a more dimmer view of XRP, is that I think the whole point of this tokens and ODL and stuff was basically to drive XRP sales. But once they're done with that, I think they're going to basically move on to new technology, which doesn't even require tokens at all.
Well, we already know that exists. We already know that exists for the CBDC world, right? We've been doing that sort of analysis already. But there are hyperledgers out there with tokens inside them that aren't actually for sale, that are utilized privately for the banks themselves. So we already know that these already exist. We already know that UDPN exists as an overledger to be able to join, and that's tokenless as well. We already know that the banks and the central banks and the governments are already building these. We already know the Home Office. The Home Office actually has its own DLTs for data transactions and data transfers. So that'd be for your digital IDs and things like that. So they've already got DLTs already working for the government side that aren't actually on the crypto asset world. This sort of information is findable. You just got to Google the hell out of it first.
And there's a difference between DLT and blockchain. People don't realize that. You can use a database like technology without using a token. And this is what you're saying, is that they're running the CBDCs directly on the let's say it's XRPL that they're using, They're not actually using XRP token. It just runs on the rails and kind of
Zach
travels
did say that,
backwards.
right? Zach, see, this is why I don't like the Q3 and Q4 report, right? In Q3, Zach was saying that it's been speaking with everybody in the XRP community. Only 25% of the customers were actually utilizing XRP and the ODL, right? And then Brad Garlinghouse came out and he said 50% of the customers are now using the ODL and the XRPL, right? But like I said, go back and look at the stats of the XRPL for Q4 versus Q3, and it's backwards. It looks like we've lost customers on the XRPL. It looks like we've
Brad
lost the
Garlinghouse,
transactions.
Brad Garlinghouse will say whatever nonsense he wants to say because he's trying to increase XRP sales, increase revenue, which he then diverts it to use to his RippleNet technology. And basically, what you're saying is, yes, we have gone backwards, and he phrases the words. You know, he uses like words like 50% of the volume, but he doesn't specify exact like the way he phrases things are very ambiguous. He doesn't tell you directly with a sharp arrow, this is what's happening, this is the percentage, this is the number, this is the money. It's all like selective percentages and selective. They don't actually tell you what's going on. This is the red flag that I have and that you've identified is the ODL volume is not high. And they're going to make excuses like they're waiting for regulation, but they don't realize that 99% of the world doesn't live in America. Oh, but America plays a big role. Okay. But we
I
look
keep
at
asking
other
that question.
blockchains. We look at other blockchains, their volume's increasing despite the SEC.
I keep asking the question. I keep on asking that question. So, how does XRP get taken out of my hands with me being in the UK?
You can't. And it's nonsense to suggest someone can take it off your hands when it's on the blockchain. The only way they can take it off you if they've got their, they're your keys. But they're going to say something like this. They're going to block the entry and the off ramps and all that. Yeah, but that's not removing XRP. That's just basically locking you in, and you can just import your keys anyway to something else. Like it's like decent. They delisted BSV. It doesn't mean your BSV is gone. It just means that you're going to have to import your seeds from decent to another wallet. So this is what's this approved by valuation subcommittee. Oh God, help us! Got my
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm saying. I was sent the model, right? So this is where they got their. This is what I'm saying, right? I can't believe Crypto Eddie was taken out, but this is where they got their. Can you remember when they came up with the price per XRP circulating supply US dollars 121,000? This is how they actually generated this number. Was literally look at this. This is so you can actually understand global debt, gold, everybody's gold, broad money supply, global real estate, global private wealth, the whole derivative, US unfunded liabilities. They even had global military spending.
Oh my God, this is embarrassing, man.
So US federal deficit, coins and banknotes, and then if you have a look over here, it kind of like they give the values here and
God help us.
Estimated values. I mean, this was,
yeah.
And then it comes down to here with like the caveats. I mean, like I said, I'm not bullshitting when I say that I've seen quite a lot of these models, and I'm like literally pissing myself laughing every time I go and have this conversation with people about how they got their derived values from and where they got the figures from. It's because I see this and I'm like, well, you're kind of like pissing in the wind a bit with this. You're kind of taking everybody's money and then chumping it in and then saying, oh, but we'll only take 12% of the world. And then creating a value for the XRP, but then they don't take into account the actual ability for how the XRP token actually works or the DLT itself.
They don't understand. That's the problem. There's no basic understanding here. And let me just say, you can't peg gold to a deflationary token. Because suppose I dig up more gold in my backyard, right? I can't then go and repeg it to a deflationary token. The other issue is, so it needs to be inflationary is the first point. The second point why you can't do that is you have to have a guarantor. You have to have someone, like if you go to the Pax Gold website, yeah, you got to have a vault, and basically you got to have a guarantor, right? So if you go to Pax Gold, which is actually backed by gold, and it's not 33 cents, it's like $1,500 per token. It says on the website you can redeem one Pax Gold, one Pax G, for whatever ounce of gold, and this is who guarantees it. This is where our vault is. That's actually an example. But Ripple, there's no website saying this is how you redeem your gold. This is the issuer. This is the guarantor. So that's why it can't be gold backed. So the fact that they put it in that Excel spreadsheet shows to me they don't understand.
No. They didn't say it's gold back. They just wanted to actually, because the way that they're looking at the world, right, is all the money. So if you think there's gold storage and tokenized assets of gold would happen, they're actually putting in the total value of gold inside of that tokenized asset.
Okay, so but who said all of the money? Who said all of the money? And this is the next thing is, I don't know if you know Darkhorse, but there's actually influencers out there who are paid by Ripple, who are actually former or current JP Morgan employees, and some of them are government. Now, this is how, the SBI Holdings CEO, he came up with the catchphrase, flip the switch. Did you know that?
Yeah, I saw that video.
So they use these terms like all the money, flip the switch, 589. All these guys, it's a psyop narrative to increase people to ape into XRP. That's how they get more revenue.
I see Christopher Simpson. Zach is paid by Valhill. I actually wonder if the fact that this is just my thought process, but I wonder if Zach has actually invested his XRP with Valhill. I don't know. Looking at the term sheet that Eddie said, right, it allowed people to actually hand over XRP for them to hold within Polysign. And then from Polysign, he got an NFT, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if he's actually gone full deep in with it or not. So I don't know. But we can surmise and we can guess and we can obviously talk about it. But again, that's for Zach to actually say yes or no. Zach says he didn't get paid by Valhill. He thought it was good for the community. So
I don't think Zach got paid. I just think they just abused his keenness for the project and leveraged that for more views. And can I just say something, right? Two things. Zach is a very intelligent guy, right? But you have to understand he's not going to come out and say XRP is bullshit, because that basically destroys his YouTube, his websites, his everything that he's monetized, that the hard work that he's put into. He will lose thousands of dollars a month, right? Me, I've got nothing to lose. So that's why I can be more transparent. So you have to take things with a grain of salt. The second thing is regarding these shell companies. So Flare, in my opinion, was a shell company. Things like ALBT, where they sucker people in, they wreck the token, and then they just issue a new token or do something dodgy. And I was actually having a Twitter space about this, but I think I would say 98% of crypto companies are shell organizations created to lure you in, to put your money in, and then they're just basically going to do a Luna, they're going to do a Flare, they're going to do an ALBT. It's one by one, and we're not learning the lesson. And so look at Polysign's website. I'm not saying Polysign is a shell, but here's the thing. You go to their website, it's bare as bones. There's a faceless photo of Arthur Brito there. They have very generic names like Jack McDonald, which I think are all doing business as alias DBAs. But there's a reason why there's a lot of shh about Polysign, is because I think I'm not sure if it's just a front organization or if it's a legitimate. If it's legitimate, I think it will do well. But if it's not, I think some of these businesses will go down.
See, Polysign Polysign today had that whole conversation with Link2, didn't they? There's a whole video out with Link2, and what gets me is that I had a feeling Link2 was joined with Valhill somehow because of the way that everywhere Link2 appears, Valhill appears, and then everywhere Link2 appears, Polysign appears. And when I look at Polysign, and then when I saw the terms and agreements in there, in the actual term sheet for the buyback, is the fact that XRP holders will hand over their assets to Polysign, where there'll be, I'm pretty sure it was the Polysign system. So I see a big triangle going on here. I see a triangle linked to Valhill, Polysign, XRP, Ripple. But then when David Schwartz actually came out with his tweet, anything that sounds to be too good to be true normally is. I mean, he was pretty bang on the money with that whole tweet that he basically shut down the buyback with. And then Zach himself did kind of like a home in one for myself. I think it was amazing. He found a tweet from David Schwartz from 6 years ago. And David Schwartz said, if all the money ran through XRPL, he's looking at about $120. XRP to $120. That was David Schwartz's own wording. And I'm like looking at my models. I'd never seen that tweet until Zach brought it up. So I appreciate what Zach found there. But when he brought up that tweet and I looked at my models, I was like, that makes sense. That makes sense. So I'm kind of cooking on the same information as what David Schwartz was saying. But the thing is that when we're looking at these buybacks, if David Schwartz is CTO, the main guy is there saying to everybody maximum $120. Why are these guys coming out with 122, 50K, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000? It just
it goes back to what you're saying. So Link2 is in bed with Valhill. And Valhill is in bed with JPM, and he even said it. I've got customers, clients that are from JP Morgan. I mean, he's known for the biggest.
Because I was speaking with Echo earlier, and Echo was saying Link2 equals JP Morgan.
Yes, dude. Half of these organizations are shell companies.
Incestuous. It's all fucking incestuous.
It's an incestuous, and this is the other thing, right? Apparently, I heard Link2 gets a greater proportion of shares that, like in comparison to other, is higher than normal. So they're actually taking a big slice of the pie here. So they're in bed with, and I saw that interview with Link2 and Val, and that was to me the first.
Was it Christmas? It was Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, wasn't it?
Yes, the Christmas tree.
Interviewing each other, didn't they? Yes, I saw that one too. I was like, I fucking knew it. You just wanted a free meal.
We just blindly follow. All right, we just blindly follow because some guy in a suit, right?
Yeah.
We are getting played, Darkhorse. This is why I'm passionate on Twitter, because people are being played and I'm pissed.
See, the difference between me and you is I know that the Kool-Aid is where I'm being played. That's where I know I'm being played, right? That's the Kool-Aid shit. And I will rip the Kool-Aid stuff down every time I come across it or I don't believe it, right? The actual XRP usage and the utilization, if it actually comes true and the banks actually do use it, I do see a certainly good price action out of XRP. And I certainly do see a value of XRP going up as long as the market makers don't go through at the end of the actual court case itself. So I see there to be money to be made in the XRP token as an investment. But I just don't believe the Kool-Aid. And the amount of people that come up to me and say it's going to go to 1,000, 10,000, it's like, and then you hurt their feelings when you kind of like explain. Are you getting a lot of hate because you're actually breaking down the whole? I mean, you're breaking down the whole token. I'm just breaking down the Kool-Aid. So I bet you get a shitload. I get a lot of hate anyway, but I bet you get a lot because you're breaking down the token itself, aren't you?
Put it this way: a rolling stone gathers no moss, and it doesn't affect me because I keep powering through every day, and like a juggernaut, nothing will stop me in my purpose to expose the truth, because people's mortgages are on this, right? And I'm going to say it, people are going to get wrecked, right? And I'm not just talking about XRP. There's a lot of spurious. Have you heard of what's been happening with Algo and the WTK token, the WADS Pay?
No.
You know WADS Pay?
Yeah.
So WadsPay said, "Oh, we're partnering with MasterCard," and then MasterCard later goes, "No, we're not,"
No, because Mastercard's
and they
already got.
basically lied about partnerships.
Yeah, but that's because Mastercard was on the Digital Pound Foundation, and they said they've actually partnered up with R3 Corridor and building their DLTs themselves with R3 Corridor as a partnership.
Exactly. So they lie about these partnerships, and Digital Pound Foundation is another shell company, by the way. But anyway, they lie about these partnerships, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I always say these partners swing more than swingers in a Playboy mansion. Right. 1 minute they're partners of this, the next minute, they're not your partner anymore. Right. And they leverage this BS partnerships, which mean nothing, to get your entrance liquidity to buy the token, and then it disappears. Look at Algorand, FIFA. Let me ask you, Darkhorse, how many Algorand advertisements did you see in the World Cup?
No. Do you know what? Do you know
Zero.
what? That made me laugh as well because Crypto Mason actually missed off Crow, which was the Crypto.com, which was the biggest sponsor of the World Cup, right? And he missed off Crow at that list, and Algorand was like #1 in the list of all the things sponsored. I did not see a sponsorship advert for Algorand anywhere within inside of the World Cup. Was it zero?
Zero. Now you think about it. If you're a partner, wouldn't you use the World Cup as the perfect opportunity to advertise Algorand? So that implies to me two things. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. See, the thing is when we actually deep dived, me and the guys here in chat and everybody else that's actually was on my live on the day, Algorand actually looked pretty good, but it's more for the youth. They're sponsoring drone racing. They're sponsoring all of like the latest. They're like the LimeWire Kazaa, and they've literally only just had a brand new marketing manager come in from. I think she was from Visa. She actually became one of their team. So I don't want to go too deep down, but I think there's been some
I won't go too deep. But I'll just say this about Algo. When was the last time you used LimeWire?
I can't say on a live TikTok.
Okay, but that's the thing. LimeWire is a dead company.
We don't know what LimeWire is.
LimeWire, you might as well get sponsored. You might as well get sponsored by Bebo and MySpace. You know, like these partnerships that they're producing. Oh, is it? Okay. Well, these are BS partnerships. You know, and they said, okay, as an example with XRP, they said Harvard, right?
Yeah.
But then you read it and it said they could use it. Not they will use it, they could use it. Or they say and then the JP Morgan flyer said examples include XLM, XRP. It said examples include XRP and XLM. It didn't say we will be using or there's proof that we're using. So this is why people get their nappies in a twist as they see these promotional materials.
Okay, got a question for you straight off, because we've just had the Bank of England release 2 documents, right? And in 2017, Ripple worked with Bank of England to do a proof of concept for a symmetrical payment system across cross-border payments, right? And in their latest document, they didn't actually say say Ripple as such. They just said that they were going to keep them onto, and they've taken lessons from Ripple, but they didn't actually state that they were going to use Ripple. There was a blurred line that me and Prosperity Fund actually had a conversation about, because they mentioned Ripple, but they didn't actually say they were going to use Ripple. However, it inferred by the wording that they was going to use Ripple, but they never actually said it, which again to me is a sleight of hand. What's your thoughts on that approach to this?
It's not just a sleight of hand, it's fraud, because what they're saying is we've partnered with Ripple, but you actually open the document. How many times is it mentioned XRP? Zero. So they could be using other DLPs. This is what I'm saying. Ripple is a crypto provider. Crypto means business, not XRP means business. They can provide any other crypto, whichever one makes them more profit. So then you have people like 24 Hours Crypto saying, ladies and gentlemen, Bank of England to be using XRP and XRP network for... No, it doesn't. You open the document, it's not mentioned that XRP is being used. It just says they're flirting with Ripple, basically, for, possible use, but there's nothing set in stone to say which DLT they did. They didn't specify which DLT they're using, and Ripple uses multiple DLTs. So it's the fact that these people are still perpetrating it, like Digital Asset Investor and all these people. And I've heard from the Vine that people like him got invited to Swell. They were paid by Ripple. We have to be careful here. The space has been co-opted, and this is what people don't know. I've had people personally tell me, dude, there are CIA people in Discords, right? Controlling narratives. There's people paid. There's JP Morgan employees. There's people from the team. There's developers. They masquerade as some benign figure, but they're actually out to drive a narrative to keep the echo chamber going, for us to continue to drink the Kool-Aid, to continue the sales of XRP. Because that's what they like. They like to lure you in before they sacrifice it. It's all about sacrifice.
So, Jemmy, I see you in my chat, and Jemmy, Jemmy is the Zach Rector's moderator, and there's Jemmy. One, we understand loyalty. What you said earlier about Zach and being loyal and everything else, we understand loyalty. We are, but the thing is that I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, and I've not put myself and my promotion and my platform based around solely XRP. My platform's based around being real and being about actually deep diving the products and actually trying to understand the tech and basically getting all that information out to you. So I understand the reason why Zach and what Rick said about the fact that when you've built around, there's a lot of money to be lost. So I totally get that. And Jeremy, when we go down these rabbit holes, yes, we do find information that we don't like for our investments. If you're invested in something and then you all of a sudden find some information that goes against what you thought or believed, it's not about the fact that you shouldn't like it or hate it. It's about the fact that you need to adjust your out strategy. It's about understanding, okay, this bit of information has come to my head. Now I just need to look at where I'm going to come out. Is it going to come out exactly the same as what I planned it? I mean, when you do the investments themselves, it's about just adjusting your plan for your crypto assets and how you make money. It's not about being attacked, because the only way you can attack somebody on a token is if you're too heavily emotionally invested in a token to actually feel attacked by that information. If you're in it for business and you're in it for strategy and you're in it to make money, you should be like, okay, that's bad for this. I need to figure out how much of an impact this is going to be for this value price. I should be able to watch it on the charts. Will I be able to get my end goal result if this happens and this happens? Okay, if not, I need to swap to another option or wait until I get to a certain point and move across to another token. That's what we should be doing with our tokens. You don't think any differently with the money in your pocket. We don't hate. There's no such thing as hate on an investment. It's just about learning to actually deal with the information. And it's not FUD, it's not misinformation when it's provided by the governments and the SEC and the Bank of England, and it's down to your own interpretation. So I've got my own interpretation of the term sheet that was provided by XRP Chat, not Crypto Eddie. Crypto Eddie did not leak that. That was on Crypto Chat. That was on XRP Chat. And I have my own interpretation of that. And Eddie got called a liar for her interpretation. I got called a liar for my interpretation. He's now being called a liar for his interpretation of the Bank of England's information. I'm being called a liar and a spreader of FUD because of my interpretation. Do you see where it goes? Just because you interpret something differently to how you perceive it doesn't mean that we're liars. We just see it as in a different way. And we want to correct our portfolios, our assets. We want to adjust accordingly. That's the reason why we do it, Jeremy. We're not here to create FUD or hate on you or Zach or anything else like that. We just want the facts out there for other people. Now, this guy seems to go down Twitter and he goes full ball. I don't like XRP. This is a load of crap, blah, blah, blah. I'm the opposite. I still like XRP, but I'm just not drinking the Kool-Aid on it. That's the reason why this guy and me are having this chat. Sorry, calling you this guy, Rick. But that's the reason why we're having this chat now.
Yeah, the word FUD, I hate it. It's basically a cop-out term. It's like conspiracy theorist, has no bearings. Just something to just say, oh, you're an idiot or you're malicious. Like, you have to engage with the points rather than just saying FUD. FUD is not your ticket out of paradise, right? And I agree. We both have agreements on stuff, me and Darkhorse, but we also have disagreements. But you know what? That's not everyone is homogenized, right? Um, and yeah, and we're apathetic, we're neutral investors. We diversify. We're not like married to a particular coin. If tomorrow we discover there's problems, I have no reservations in pulling out. I'm not tied to any army. The only army I have is my wallet, and I'm the general, right? So this whole notion that you've got the algo army, you've got the XRP Doge army, all of that stuff is pseudo quasi tribalism that prevents you from your full potential
Making money.
of making money. That's the end of the game.
100%. Can you just give everybody your Twitter handle, because there was quite a lot of people that joined it that haven't been here from the start.
So I'm a YouTuber. It's CryptoCurrent and CryptoRick. But yeah, crypto Twitter is CryptoCurrent77, and YouTube is CryptoCurrent (CryptoRick). Just look for the yellow symbol.
So this live has actually been pretty good. It's nice to meet you, by the way. Just out of interest, everybody is actually saying, do you like Hex? Are you a Hex supporter?
Yes, but that doesn't mean that it's 100% safe from having its problems. So I'm not a Hex maxi, if that's the question. I'm actually not a maxi of anything. So I'm a diversified investor. I hypothetically, of course, have multiple assets, like up to 20. Again, hypothetical, because I don't want to admit I hold digital assets. But and so this concept that Hex maxi, XRP maxi, it doesn't bring any fruition, because I'm very skeptical. I'm even of the opinion that Hex could have problems. Pulse chain might be a scam. I'm not willing to throw the dice on any one army or token. I just want to survive at the end of the day. That's what I'm a survivor maxi. I just want to survive the purge, because most of it's a Ponzi scam, and you got to find which ones potentially aren't, and diversify and hedge your bets.
But did you see? And thanks for answering that, because that kind of covers everything. Because normally when people come up on the Hex, they are full ball Hexicans, and they quote Richard Hart like to the hilt. And it's like, oh, come on. Are you in it to make money? Do you agree it's there to make money? Okay, great. It's not going to be the savior of all and the destroyer of Bitcoin and Ethereum when it sits on Oak 20. But let's not go there. Did you see Gary Gensler's latest video and how he's coming for influencers and social media people now? Did you?
Yeah, I saw that.
I reposted it on my Twitter this morning. I was like, damn, that's going to be a lot of people deleting things off their Twitters and their TikToks now, isn't it? And their YouTubes as well.
Yeah. So anyone that lives in America, I would be deleting stuff, because thankfully I'm not in America. But even then, like, we shouldn't be shilling, especially when there's evidence on the contrary. And it's fine to review projects, and I think both of our channels do a good job at critically analyzing and reviewing. I think there's no problem with the reviewing. But when you start shilling, I think that's the problem. And there's a lot of YouTubers who, get paid by certain people to do music NFTs, and it's just
So it's been this live's been going on since 3 weeks, but it's barely even been 2 hours. So chill out, user. I see you in chat. So yeah, when I saw that from the SEC, just to kind of let you guys know in chat as well, that France has just done 50,000 social media accounts for crypto assets and for shilling, and they're actually looking at the laws around fraud for those 50,000 accounts in France. The UK are currently actually looking into it as well, and so is the US. Well, he's definitely coming for him now, because he's done that video. He literally, on the Securities Exchange Commission website, or if you go to my Twitter account, or I bet it's on CryptoRick's account as well, the SEC has just released a Gary Gensler special video where he talks about how social media influence on crypto assets is actually fraud. So take a look at that, guys. Be aware of that.
Yeah, so, and I want to also tell a little secret to your viewers. some of these XRP influencers, we actually found they had secret Proton accounts since November 2022, but they never told you that. I'll basically be doing a video probably another time on my channel, but basically they will tell you that they're all in on XRP, but they're lying. This is what comes back to the fraud thing, is they're not fully transparent, and some of them have conflicts of interest that they'll never tell you about. This is why it's fraud, because they're basically pretending like they're some neutral person, some guy in their basement, but they're not. They're actually friends of the team, hidden developers of the team, banking employees, banking marketing and strategy. Yeah, and it's sickening, to be honest. It makes me want to vomit.
So I know, looking at the SEC document, but everybody's out there, they can read this themselves. Ripple paid marketeers to go out, and everyone says Ripple doesn't promote. Ripple doesn't pay promoters, but they paid marketeers to promote. They also paid people to actually create abilities for XRP without actually doing the development work or any sort of blueprints or anything like that. It was just to come out with, which is why I think Quincy goes really, really fast and strong with the because I think there is some sort of, yes, I think I've even said this on one of my posts. I think Quincy's a great salesman. I think he's a great salesman. He is an amazing and smart individual. Quincy is 100% smart. He knows his tech. He knows all of but I think he's an amazing salesman. How he can rattle it off. Do you know? He reminds me of that YouTube video that went around where that guy could literally wrap his way through a cleaning product, and he had. And he's like, oh, you can get your shoes clean, and they could do your doors, and you could do your windows. And he's like, everyone's like mesmerized because the guy doesn't stop talking for like 2 minutes. And you've literally bought his. I was thinking about buying it, and I'm in the UK. It was that good. The way Quincy does that conversation, I think it goes so quick and drills you so much information. I think it's an amazing sales tactic.
But if you actually slow it down, he actually says nothing really. And someone actually asked him a question. They said, do you need to use XRP to use RippleNet? And instead of just saying yes or no, he's like, well, it depends on what you mean by blah, 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 blah. But if you want to actually do it, and he uses big words to divert the attention. And this is the problem here is you want to answer questions very crisp, just like both of us are talking now, very crisp and clear. But he doesn't do that for a reason, because if you were to just say yes or no, he breaks his NDA. So I don't trust anybody who signs NDAs. If you're an NDA, I don't want to talk to you, because it means you're not being 100% truthful. And the reality is, he made egregious claims that all the debt and all the money is going to go on the XRP ledger, and you could do this, and wow, and Zoom, and there's a lot of things happening, and he misled us. And then he never mentioned that XDC has a private ledger. So XDC has a private ledger. It's moving value without even using the XDC token. Did he mention that to us? Nope. No. He just talks about what DApps and what this and what could be and what should be and what. But ask yourself this question. You've got an enterprise grade blockchain like XDC. Who's actually building on it?
So this is again, I know exactly what you're saying. There's loads of these layer ones out there, and there's just nobody using them right now. They're like empty fairgrounds. They've got all these DApps, all these abilities to actually go do these things, but nobody's using them.
Yeah.
And the way
and
the way that I look at it is that until the rules and regulations come out for the businesses and the banks to actually understand crypto assets and for it to be cleaned up in terms of the regulations, companies won't touch these layer ones or even layer twos really until they actually get fully ultimate confidence on the fact that they're going to be covered and they can actually utilize them. There's a lot of money in these layer ones. There's a lot of board of directors that have come from major companies to use them. But until they actually get the rules and regulation in, I think they're holding fire. So there are There are
Yeah.
a
What
lot.
if?
There are a lot
Yeah.
of
What if?
layer ones.
I've got a devil's advocate. What if they have built, but it's all private on the private ledger?
Again, even if it is on the private ledger, the way these companies work and the way they, it's a good question. It is a good question, but you haven't stymied me. You haven't stymied me. So if we actually look at layer ones and whether these companies are actually using them or not, even if they were on the private ledger, these companies are after money for what they've actually developed and what they spent money on, right? They would want the world to see them utilizing this product because they would want more retail to come into those products. Because the more people that are into those products, the more value those layer ones will become. So I hear you on the private ledgers, but if you could turn around to say, like, if IBM turned around and said, actually, HBAR is now being utilized 100% by the supply chain industry, and we generated their technology, blah blah blah, they'd be the first ones out bragging because they'd be the first ones out there actually with the relevant technology to create blockchains for other companies. There's a lot going on the underneath that I think people are playing cold about. They're dialing it down because they don't want the world to know they've invested this money in for the shareholders and the stakeholders. And as soon as they get the green light from the rules and regulations, I do believe it's going to go like that.
Sure,
I think there
sure,
will
but
be mass adoption coming in.
sure, but we need to delineate between institution and retail. So what you're saying is retail will certainly build on it, and that's where some value will come in.
Yeah,
But we can't say, well, institutional grade trade and global trade and finance, because the majority of that global trade and finance will happen on the XTC private ledger, which will not utilize the XTC token. So, yes, Mr. Bob's music NFTs might be built on the XTC ledger, but that's the value you're going to get is from the DApps that are built. And even Quincy Jones himself said that the values in the DApps, not necessarily the layer one token. It's like lithium and Tesla. Sure, lithium is needed to build the cars, which may increase the price of Tesla, but there's no direct communication.
yeah.
But we have to delineate institutional. This is the same problem with XRP that I have. Is sure, you and I can build whatever on the XRP network, and sure, it might pump the price of XRP to $20 or $50. But don't go and tell me that institutions are going to be moving their filthy amount of money on the public ledgers with the XRP token, because it's not going to happen. It's fairy tales.
Like what you're saying is kind of true on quite a lot of levels. It's just at the moment it is just all hopium being spread out right now. But I'm a firm believer that when they finally get the regulations out there, like the MiCA, the Lillingham addendums, and the SEC's latest addendum to the security on staking and all this social media shit as well. As soon as all this gets actually pulled out and put through and agreed on, I see a lot of money being pumped into the actual technology itself. Now, regardless of whether all the money goes through XRP or all the money goes through XTC, I still think that with the amount of institutional wealth that's going to be coming through, I still believe that with most of the actual technology, most of the coins that probably won't be able to follow the legislation and regulation, they will die. And I think that once you start pushing the market cap back from 23,000 tokens back into a small amount of tokens, which are going to be the ones that survive it, I think the market cap will actually push up most of these tokens' value anyway by the fact that there's limited amounts of them, limited amounts of availability to actually put money into, and the amount of people that are currently own it anyway. So I think what we've got is a high increase with it's just about getting the right tokens. And with XRP, that's the reason why I see that price value, because like you said, it's private ledgers. And we already know that they're already using a leasing market maker already with XRP, and it's clear in the Q3 and the Q4 and the Q2 reports. And we don't see them in the transactions, do we?
Yeah. So when did the penny drop for you? What set you, like, you were obviously big on XRP once, and then what was the changing moment for you? What opened your eyes?
Crypto Lulu and T's video. Crypto Lulu and T's video. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to go straight to that video, because that video, it made me aware that people didn't actually understand how financial systems actually work. They didn't really know what the Vostro Nistro accounts were, or escrow, or they didn't actually understand how the messaging service for Swift works. They didn't actually follow. I mean, they were talking, but I didn't understand what they were saying. And I've worked in finance, and I didn't understand what they were saying. And it made me really like go and read, look, and relearn what the actual technology was. And to be fair, that was where I got it from. That's exactly where I got it from. It was that video. It just pissed me off. And I was like, you guys have got this. I think it went to like 20,000, 30,000 views. And it's like, how can you tell people this is how financial institutions work and how they actually use these systems? And yeah.
Apparently, according to Crypto Mason, he's using bots to pop up the views, but I can't confirm or deny that. But anyway, the point is, for me, it was discovering the private ledgers. Then I actually looked up what the private ledgers were. I found out how they operated. Then that sent me into a wormhole. Then I discovered the XRP Fund 2 shenanigans and the FinCEN case. Then that led me down the actual, and then your video obviously came up as well with the market makers. Then it led to the SEC documents. Then that led to the Craig Wright interview, which led to the disclosure that they were just using it to dump. And then actually I went back, and then there was the Stacey Warden, CEO of Algorand, who said that ISO 22 is basically a BS marketing slogan that didn't really mean much.
Oh yeah, it is.
You can't have an ISO 22 compliant coin or anything like that. And so basically,
Only ISO. Here's one.
Yeah, and
ISO,
then I started. Yeah, go ahead. You go.
ISO 24165 is a crypto ISO. It's DTI. It's a DTI ISO. I keep telling people on my lives, that's it. That's an ISO. That's actually a crypto ISO. The others that everybody's marketing right now, they're just selling tactics.
Yeah, it's all marketing, and there's no such thing as ISO 22 compliant coins. And then that led me further down the rabbit hole of, actually, where's the proof that there's actually money moving through the ledgers? There wasn't any. And then there was, okay, who's actually building on it? There was no one actually building on it. And then it's like, okay, is it gold back? And then I found out no one's actually hoarding this stuff for gold. And then I found out that they were dumping. So it's like basically every presupposition that we had basically turned out to be false. And that pissed me off probably more than you. So I'm still pissed off. Even now as I speak, I'm still extremely pissed off. I'm just thankful I got out early enough to spare my sanity. But there's a lot of people who are going down. And this is a warning. It is be careful.
I got fed up. I got absolutely fed up with hearing about the buyback and hearing about all of the money and all of this. So I did a whole video on like calling Zach out basically on like where's the proof? Where's the actual information? Where's the I messaged it to Zach direct, and still to this day not got any sort of information of the proof of all the money. But again, I do have this proof that they do actually think it is all the money, mate. And I'm sorry, I 100%. Well, where's it gone? Where's it gone? I think I closed it down actually. Give me a second. I'll bring it back. So, give me a second. I do actually still have that whole proof that they do believe in. Wait for it to open. So they do believe all the money, but it's not all the money as in what you think. So this is all the money.
The world's billionaires?
That's what they call all the money in this buyback.
This is actually comedy.
And it goes to S. I'd have thought there'd have been at least all the way to an AA. Do you know what I'm saying? It's that's what I got given. And again, like I say, when you actually look at these supporting models, the information where they get it from, it's fucking ridiculous.
I'm speechless. As I said, I'm ready to do deals myself. I'm meeting with the federal bank next week, and we're negotiating a $100,000 Dogecoin, but we got to
Oh, mate,
negotiate it before they steal it back.
mate, I mine Doge. Can I jump on this? Can I be
Yeah,
in the secret committee for Doge? Because I mine Dogecoin. I know other people that mine Dogecoin as well. Can we all join?
yeah, you can join, but shh, but we're gonna meet with the feds, but not we're gonna meet with the treasury. We're not gonna meet with the feds because we don't like them. Right? We're gonna do the deals.
Come in. Shh, come in.
Okay, all right, and we'll call it a proposal. Because we don't want them stealing like what they did in 1930. Like, we can't have them risk stealing our Dogecoin again. Like, it would be just too much.
Right. Can we just say this, right? I had this argument with Zach, right? And I've had this actual conversation with Echo. Right. I keep saying argument. I've had this debate with Zach, and I've had this conversation and debate with Echo. But it's more of a debate with Echo. But it gets a bit more argumentative with Zach. So I don't intend it to. But when the government actually bought back the gold in 1930, the US was screwed. They had to buy back gold to be able to back their own money to create. That was like and do you know what? Because $100 of gold back then was the equivalent to $10,000 of gold now. You were able to keep up to $10,000 worth of gold. So anything over, they force bought it. Now, to me, that's a Robin Hood scenario. They had to take from the rich to give to the poor. And yet that scenario itself was then utilized as the way that the government was able to steal our gold, take our gold. What, are you admitting you were that rich that you had so much gold in your house that while everybody else was struggling that you couldn't actually give back to your own country? It was a positive that the government did, right? And they ended up switching it back in 1970, I believe it was. But the fact is they did that to save their own country. They did that for a reason to save their own country. They didn't buy it for XRP so they can use it on a DLT, right?
Of course not. It's just rubbish talk. I mean, XRP is a DLT. That's all it is. It's not gold back. It's not precious in any way. It's not something the banks are thirsty after. And we've already mentioned earlier the reasons why they're not thirsty for it. The fact that you and I hold it is more proof that they're not thirsty for it. The fact that the Fed basically ignored Val Hill's proposal shows to you they don't give a rat's bum about our XRP. The exchanges aren't holding it. None of them are holding it as proof of reserves. Jed McCaleb sold all his. Jesse Powell, Chris Larsen sold all his. They're now billionaires. Someone once told me, if you want to get rich, follow Jed. And can we really be that stupid to basically ignore what everyone else is doing? Oh, but Ripple is buying it back. No, they're not. They're selling more. They're selling 9 billion. They're buying back 8 million. Can you do basic subtraction for me? How much did they profit? Oh, but they're buying it back from secondary markets. Yeah, they need to because they want to resell it again. How do you think they buy and resell? They need to buy it back.
They've got $8 billion. They've got $8 billion worth of XRP sitting in a wallet, and I was trying to get Zach to admit they've got $8 billion sitting in a wallet of XRP, and it was just going round and round. I said to him, "How long have you been doing finance, Zach?" I've been in finance doing balance sheet cash flows and P&Ls for about just over 20 odd years now, and he was like, "Well, I've been in business for 8 years." I was like, "Okay, so." When I'm telling you this is a sleight of hand trick with money on a balance sheet, then would you not? I mean, just did as usual, Zach, me versus Zach thing again.
But Zach has too much conflicts of interest. He's not going to burn his YouTube, which is based off XRP.
Agreed.
All the websites and podcasts. He's not going to sacrifice. Even if he knew the truth, he's not going to tell you, and he's not going to admit. So people have to be mindful that this is his livelihood.
It's good viewership, though. I'll be honest with you. We had. During that live where I went up there, went all the way up to 330 people.
Yeah, I actually watched that debate with you and Zach, and I was laughing the whole time. I was like, Darkhorse, you are a legend, my friend.
try and beat that with facts, and you just can't beat it with facts, right? You can't beat. Do you know what? Sometimes I go up there just to have a laugh. Like I like a challenge.
Yeah, I like a challenge too. Actually, I invited Jack to debate me, but he always declines and basically ignores me. He can't confront the music. He knows that I will, let's just say, put him in his place. But he'll never face the music.
Do you know what? I don't think he wants to. I think XRP is. I think it is definitely going to go to a nice value for him. I think he's built a great community and he's been around it for quite a bit of time. But I think the Valhill Capital thing is absolutely the worst mistake I've ever seen in my life. I think that was the worst. I mean,
and those people part of the. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go for it. And those people part of it, you know, you're right. You're right. Sorry, buddy, go for it.
Yeah. Those people who are part of it, that's forever going to be on their record. If me and you did that, we would be copying hate left, right, and center. But they're suddenly getting away with it, and they're suddenly downplaying it. Like, you know, Linda P. Jones went on a podcast saying, "Oh, Ripple shares are not as good as owning XRP." Well, I disagree. You own Ripple shares, you profit when Ripple profits. XRP, there's no guarantee you're going to profit if they profit, and that's dependent on them using XRP.
Ripple shares are definitely what I'm very much interested in, and I know quite a lot of people that are actually on my channel, and some of the people I've spoken to, they also own some Ripple shares now as well. So that is definitely where, because if they are going to become a bank and everything else, then fair play. Those shares will actually moon like crazy. I mean, that's not financial advice. That's just, you ever seen a bank's freaking shares not moon?
And that's the reason why the Ripple shares are $26 and XRP is 33 cents. Like, clearly there's a lot of demand for Ripple shares, but there's not much demand for XRP. And you got to ask yourself, why?
So I think we've gone around everything, haven't we, buddy? I think we've actually covered everything. Is there anything you want to ask me? Or
no, I just think we'll just basically keep in touch and
well,
see what happens.
You now know I've got this account. If you're not going to build a TikTok account, you are more than welcome on this account any time of the day, right? And do you want to just put out your accounts so everybody in the chat can actually hear them again?
So my YouTube is CryptoCurrent, open brackets, CryptoRick, close bracket, and my Twitter is CryptoCurrent, one word, 77. And my name is CryptoRick, obviously.
So, guys, this was an impromptu live. So, apologies if I've stepped on anyone's toes with the live times that I've done today. I wanted to have this live with CryptoRick here. I'm going to go to bed now. I'm in the UK, so I'm going to go to bed. Apologies for anybody that wants to jump up. Guys, have a good day, and hopefully I'll speak to you again later tonight. Cheers again, CryptoRick. Appreciate it, mate.
Again, thanks for having me. Thanks.
Take care, guys.